What if the greatest power you'll ever hold doesn't come from what you gain, but from what you give up? What if every distraction you cling to, every comfort you refuse to release is quietly weakening you, draining your focus, and burying your true potential under noise, pleasure, and laziness? And what if the ancient warriors, saints, philosophers, and kings all knew a secret that the modern world hides from you? That renunciation is not loss, it is fuel. And the man who can walk away from temptation becomes a man no one can break? Today, you're about to discover why the strongest version of you is born not through addition, but through subtraction. Why the modern world fears men who practice restraint. And why every great transformation begins with a vow. A vow to silence the cravings, control the impulses, and reclaim the fire inside you. This is the warrior's vow. And if you stay with me until the end, you will understand why letting go is the first step to becoming unstoppable. Before every great warrior rose, he first renounced something. Look back at any ancient culture. The samurai, the monks, the stoics, the desert prophets, the elite Spartan soldiers. And you'll find a pattern so clear it almost feels like a universal law. The man who can deny himself becomes the man who can lead others. Because renunciation is not about punishing yourself. It is not about suffering for no reason. It is not about running away from life. No. It is the opposite. Renunciation is the forging fire. The conscious choice to remove everything that weakens your spirit so that what is left is pure, sharp, focused, and indestructible. Think of a swordsmith. To create a blade strong enough for battle, what does he do? He burns away the impurities. He heats, he folds, he hammers. He removes everything that makes the metal soft. Your spirit is the same. And here's the truth no one tells you. The things you cling to are the same things that make you weak. The distraction that keeps you scrolling. The pleasure that keeps you numb. The people who drain your energy. The habits that slow your mind. The temptations that rob you of focus, discipline, and purpose. A warrior knows this. That is why he steps back, cuts ties, lets go, renounces. Not because he hates pleasure, or fears comfort, or wants suffering, but because he understands something deeper. Power comes from the ability to choose. Weakness comes from the inability to resist. If you cannot say no, you will never truly say yes to your destiny. And this is where renunciation becomes spiritual power. Because the moment you release what controls you, you reclaim what belongs to you. Your mind, your attention, your will. This is why monks give up luxury. Why warriors leave home to train. Why sages retreat into solitude. Why kings fast before making decisions. Renunciation sharpens the spirit the same way fire sharpens steel. When you give up the unnecessary, you gain the extraordinary. Your inner voice becomes louder. Your intuition becomes clearer. Your discipline becomes stronger. Your purpose becomes undeniable. And most importantly, your identity begins to shift. You stop being a slave to impulses and start becoming the architect of your life. This is the ancient law of power. This is the first step of the warrior's vow. Most people think renunciation is about losing something. But psychologically, the opposite is true. When you let go of the unnecessary, your mind doesn't shrink. It expands. It becomes sharper, faster, clearer, and more powerful than you've ever experienced. Let's break down the real psychology behind this. The modern world overwhelms your brain with more stimulation in a single day than a man in the past experienced in a month. Notifications, desires, comparison, noise, pleasure everywhere. Your mind is drowning in input. But your brain wasn't designed for this constant flood. It was built for focus, for clarity, for long attention. When you renounce distractions, you don't lose out. You give your mind room to breathe. And suddenly, what felt impossible becomes effortless. You think deeper. You feel less anxious. You make decisions faster. You stop second-guessing yourself. You reconnect with your instincts. Renunciation returns your mind to its natural state. Calm, powerful, and intuitive. This is a psychological truth most people ignore. Willpower is a muscle. Every act of restraint strengthens it. Every indulgence weakens it. When you say no to mindless scrolling, unhealthy pleasure, toxic people, pointless noise, instant gratification. You are not depriving yourself. You are training yourself. You are developing an inner power that most people in today's world will never have. And here's the deeper part. Self-control doesn't just improve your discipline. It changes your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who is capable of great things. Someone with mastery over their life. Someone with direction. Renunciation upgrades your self-image. And a man's actions will always rise or fall to match the identity he believes he has. One reason people feel lost is because their purpose is buried under layers of stimulation, consumption, distractions, unhealthy relationships, emotional clutter. When you renounce what is unnecessary, something magical happens. Your purpose begins to reveal itself. Not because you found it, but because it was there all along. You were just too overloaded to see it. When your inner world becomes quiet, your deeper calling begins to speak. You start realizing what truly matters, what you want from life, who you are becoming, where you must go next. Renunciation is clarity. Clarity is power. And power is the foundation of purpose. There is a psychological difference between suffering that is forced and suffering that is chosen. Forced suffering breaks you. Voluntary suffering strengthens you. When you choose to renounce something, you activate a primal mechanism inside your psyche. Your brain says, "If I can walk away from this, I can handle anything." You begin to trust your own strength. You become less reactive to pressure, less emotional in conflict, less attached to outcomes, less afraid of losing anything. In short, renunciation makes you mentally unshakable. People who avoid discomfort become fragile. People who face discomfort become warriors. Everything you hold on to, every habit, every attachment, every craving, takes up mental and emotional energy. You only have a limited amount. The more attachments you have, the more drained you are. But when you release them, the energy returns. And you feel something you may not have felt in a long time. Inner power. Inner fire. Inner stillness. Inner direction. The mind thrives not when it is full, but when it is free. This is why renunciation is not deprivation. It is transformation. You're not losing energy. You're reclaiming it. This is the psychology of the warrior's vow. When you let go of the unnecessary, the irrelevant, the addictive, and the draining, you don't become smaller. You become dangerous, focused, awake, capable of deep work, capable of discipline, capable of purpose. You become someone who is no longer controlled by the world, but someone who controls himself. And that is the foundation of every great warrior. There is a point where renunciation stops being about discipline and becomes something far deeper, almost sacred. A point where letting go is no longer a physical act, no longer a mental exercise, but a spiritual initiation. Because the truth is simple, every great spiritual transformation begins with sacrifice. Not sacrifice of your life, but sacrifice of your lower self, your distractions, your cravings, your compulsions, your emotional dependencies, your ego's constant hunger for comfort and validation. When these fall away, even slowly, something ancient awakens inside you. Something powerful, quiet, and unmistakably real. Let's break down why. We live in a culture that constantly pulls your attention outward. To entertainment, to desires, to people, to validation, to pleasure, to noise. Your soul, your intuition, your deeper voice, they all get buried. But the moment you step back and cut off the unnecessary, something profound happens. Your inner world starts speaking again. You begin to hear your instincts, your intuition, your truth, your purpose, your higher self. It's like clearing dust from a mirror. You finally see yourself. This inner reconnection is the foundation of spiritual growth. You cannot awaken your spirit if your attention is always scattered. Your ego thrives on attachments. It needs to feel in control. It wants comfort. It wants pleasure. It wants certainty. It wants to cling to everything. So when you start to let go, something powerful happens. Your ego begins to weaken. You stop operating from fear. You stop chasing approval. You stop running from discomfort. You stop worrying about losing anything. Letting go becomes freedom. Freedom becomes clarity. Clarity becomes strength. And the less control your ego has over you, the more your spirit takes command. That shift, from ego to spirit, is the real awakening. Every temptation you resist, every desire you release, every attachment you let go of, creates spiritual space inside you. Space for what? Presence, stillness, awareness, power, energy. When you no longer leak energy into addictions, cravings, or emotional clutter, your spiritual energy rises naturally. This is why sages, monks, yogis, and spiritual warriors all practice some form of renunciation. They understand something the modern world forgets. Higher consciousness requires empty space. Empty space is created by letting go. When you renounce the lower, you rise toward the higher. When the noise quiets, when the cravings fade, when the ego calms, your spirit steps forward. You start to feel a fire inside you, not aggression, not anger, not ambition, but pure life force. A grounded, calm, steady power. A sense of inner authority. A sense of alignment with something greater. This is why spiritual warriors often seem peaceful yet powerful. They are rooted, centered, unmoved by chaos, unafraid of life, unafraid of loss. Because their strength does not come from the external world, it comes from the energy rising inside them. Renunciation opens the channel. Discipline maintains it. Purpose directs it. This is the inner fire every warrior seeks. Here is a secret the world avoids: pain becomes meaningful when you choose it. Renunciation teaches you that discomfort is not an enemy, it is a doorway. When you deny yourself something pleasurable, you discover your real strength. When you walk away from something addictive, you discover your real freedom. When you separate from something toxic, you discover your real worth. This shift, from avoiding pain to transforming pain, is one of the deepest spiritual awakenings a person can experience. Suddenly, challenges don't scare you. Hardship doesn't break you. Loss doesn't destroy you. You begin to see everything as part of your evolution, even the difficult parts. This is the mind of a spiritual warrior. At the highest level, here is what renunciation truly does. It removes the layers that cover your higher self. When you stop overstimulating yourself, stop chasing pleasure, stop clinging to attachments, stop numbing your emotions, your higher self rises. The wiser you, the more disciplined you, the more intuitive you, the more grounded you, the more powerful you. Renunciation doesn't change you, it reveals you. It strips away the noise, so your true nature can finally breathe. And once your higher self awakens, your path becomes clearer, your purpose becomes louder, and your inner peace becomes unshakable. By now you can feel it. Renunciation isn't just discipline, it is transformation. It is awakening. It is the birth of a stronger, clearer, higher version of yourself. And this awakening is only the beginning. Renunciation may awaken the inner fire, but discipline is what keeps it burning. A warrior is not formed through motivation, inspiration, or emotion. He is forged through habits, through daily actions that shape his character, sharpen his mind, and harden his spirit. This chapter is about the practical side, the day-to-day rituals that turn renunciation into real inner strength. Let's break down the disciplines that every spiritual warrior must practice. Every warrior needs a sacred space, a moment each day where he withdraws from the world and reconnects with himself. This can be 10 minutes of silence, a quiet walk, sitting alone early in the morning, evening reflection, a moment without phone, noise, or distraction. Solitude is not isolation, it is calibration. It realigns your mind with your purpose. It resets your emotions. It strengthens your intuition. When solitude becomes a habit, clarity becomes your normal state. A warrior is not someone who feels nothing. He is someone who controls what he feels. This is the discipline of impulse mastery. It includes resisting the urge to check your phone constantly, delaying gratification, choosing long-term goals over quick pleasure, saying no even when it's tempting, refusing to be ruled by cravings. Every time you resist an impulse, your willpower grows another layer. And the stronger your willpower becomes, the easier renunciation feels. Soon your mind becomes steady. Your emotions become less reactive. Your choices become intentional. This is how inner strength is built. One resisted impulse at a time. In the modern world, focus is a superpower. A warrior trains his attention the way ancient fighters trained their bodies. To build clean focus, remove unnecessary apps, limit junk consumption, build a work-only environment, schedule deep work, protect your mental energy. Focus is not about forcing your mind to work, it's about removing what weakens it. When your attention is no longer scattered, your mind becomes sharp, stable, and powerful. You start finishing tasks faster. You start thinking more clearly. You start living with purpose instead of distraction. The body and spirit are connected. A weak body breeds a weak mind. A strong body supports a strong will. You don't need to become a bodybuilder. You simply need consistent physical discipline, push-ups, running, calisthenics, basic strength training, breathing exercises, stretching, martial arts or yoga. Physical training builds resilience, discipline, self-belief, endurance, mental toughness. You are teaching your mind that discomfort is not a threat, but a teacher. This is a core principle of the warrior's path. A warrior protects his energy the way a king protects his kingdom. This means staying away from toxic people, draining conversations, emotional chaos, negative influences, anything that dims your clarity. Your energy must be guarded like treasure. Because when your energy is strong, you think sharper, you feel lighter, your intuition heightens, your self-control improves, your purpose becomes louder. Protecting your energy is an act of spiritual loyalty to yourself. Purpose doesn't appear magically. It grows through small, consistent actions. Each day, do something that pulls you forward, learn a skill, read something powerful, build something, reflect on your goals, take one step toward mastery. A warrior doesn't wait for the world to give him purpose. He creates it through disciplined action. The more consistent you become, the more your purpose reveals itself. This discipline is rare. It means pausing before reacting, thinking before speaking, breathing during conflict, remaining centered when others lose control. Emotional stillness is true strength. It is the power to remain grounded, even when life throws storms your way. When you master this, nothing shakes you. People feel your presence. Your aura changes. Your confidence becomes natural, not forced. This is what separates warriors from the world. Their inner calm becomes their armor. This is where everything comes together. A warrior practices daily renunciation. Small acts of letting go that build inner power. Examples: skipping unnecessary pleasure, disciplining your eating, reducing screen time, letting go of gossip, avoiding temptation, choosing silence, practicing minimalism, refusing emotional drama. Each sacrifice strengthens your spirit. Each no you say becomes a yes to your evolution. This is how renunciation becomes a lifestyle, not an occasional act. This is the warrior's discipline. As these habits stack, you become someone different, more grounded, more powerful, more spiritually alive. Your mind stops chasing. Your heart stops fearing. Your spirit stops shrinking. You begin to stand taller, walk clearer, think deeper. The world starts to feel less overwhelming. Because you are no longer controlled by it. You control yourself. And a man who controls himself is a man the world cannot control. Every strong man you admire, every warrior, monk, philosopher, athlete, king, all share one secret: they chose their hardships. They didn't wait for life to force difficulty upon them. They walked toward it. Why? Because voluntary hardship transforms you in a way nothing else can. It builds a spirit so firm, so grounded, so unshakable that life's storms barely move you. This chapter will show you why choosing difficulty is one of the most powerful things you can do, and how it turns an ordinary person into a warrior of the mind and soul. There's a psychological truth no one teaches: when you choose the challenge, you grow. When you run from the challenge, you break. Voluntary hardship activates a completely different part of the mind. Instead of feeling like a victim, you feel like the one in control. That shift, from helpless to empowered, is the foundation of invincibility. Because now, the difficulty isn't something being done to you, it's something you are choosing. And when you choose it, fear disappears. Resistance fades. Strength rises. This is why monks fast. Why soldiers train in harsh conditions. Why Stoics practice discomfort. Why sages embraced simplicity. They knew the truth: if you own the difficulty, it can't destroy you. Comfort makes the mind soft. Hardship makes the mind sharp. When you intentionally take on challenges, even small ones, you begin to build mental armor. Examples: waking up early, controlling your cravings, training when you don't feel like it, walking instead of taking an easier route, choosing silence over emotional reactions, delaying pleasure, pushing your body a little further each day. What happens? Your mind becomes resilient. You stop being controlled by feelings. You stop collapsing under stress. You stop overthinking. You stop running from discomfort. You begin to develop what warriors call cold clarity, a calm, powerful awareness that stays steady under pressure. This is mental invincibility, and it is earned only through chosen difficulty. Every hardship you choose acts like a fire, burning away weak thoughts, weak habits, weak tendencies. When you push yourself through discomfort, your weaknesses have nowhere to hide. You quickly learn which cravings control you, which fears limit you, which emotions rule you, which pleasures weaken you, which excuses cripple you. Voluntary hardship exposes these weaknesses, so you can overcome them consciously. Hardship becomes a mirror that shows you what must be confronted. And when you confront it, you transform. You can be smart, talented, passionate, but if you cannot endure, you won't go far. Endurance is one of the rarest human strengths. Most people quit when things get uncomfortable. But warriors don't. Why? Because they train themselves to keep going. Every time you hold a difficult position for an extra minute, every time you run a little longer, every time you resist a craving, every time you sit with uncomfortable emotions, you are teaching your nervous system, I can endure more than I think. And this becomes a superpower. Because when life hits you unexpectedly, you don't collapse. While others break, you bend. While others panic, you breathe. While others give up, you keep moving. This is how warriors outlast the world. Life will always bring challenges, heartbreak, failure, financial pressure, loneliness, betrayal, unexpected loss, physical or emotional setbacks. These are the hardships you don't choose. But here is the warrior's advantage. If you train yourself with chosen suffering, the unchosen suffering cannot overpower you. Why? Because you already live at a higher level of discipline. Your resilience is already built. Your mind is already hardened. Your spirit is already steady. The things that break ordinary people become sparks that sharpen you. Life stops happening to you and starts happening for you. This is the secret of the invincible mind. There is a certain confidence that cannot be faked. You see it in warriors, monks, elite athletes, disciplined men. It's not loud. It's not arrogant. It's not showy. It is quiet power. A calm assurance that says, I've been through worse. I can handle this. I don't fear difficulty. I trust myself. I can endure. This confidence comes from hardship, from repeatedly doing things that your old self thought were impossible. Nothing builds self-belief like overcoming your own limits. When you willingly embrace difficulty, something spiritual happens. Your inner world becomes clean. You stop seeking escapism. You stop fearing shadows. You stop doubting your strength. You stop craving softness. Your spirit sharpens. Your inner fire strengthens. Your heart becomes brave. Your presence becomes grounded. This is why spiritual warriors have a different aura. They carry the weight of battles they chose. This is the power of voluntary hardship. It's not about suffering for no reason. It's about transformation. Hardship chosen is hardship conquered. Hardship conquered is weakness destroyed. Weakness destroyed is power revealed. When you choose difficulty, you become someone life cannot break. You become someone who rises while others fall. You become someone who walks with a strength that comes from the inside and radiates outward. This is how warriors are built. Simplicity is not about having less, it's about becoming more. More focused. More disciplined. More peaceful. More aligned. More powerful. A complicated life weakens the spirit. A simple life strengthens it. For a warrior, simplicity is not an aesthetic choice. It is a spiritual strategy. A weapon. A way of clearing the inner world so the higher self can rise. Let's dive deeply into why simplicity is one of the warrior's greatest strengths. Every object you own, every commitment you hold, every unnecessary piece of information you consume, creates mental friction. The more you accumulate, the more scattered your attention becomes. But when you simplify your environment, your mind follows. This means fewer distractions, fewer apps, fewer possessions, fewer toxic connections, fewer unnecessary decisions. Your mind becomes lighter, calmer, cleaner, sharper. Simplicity restores the clarity the modern world steals from you. And clarity is a warrior's advantage. Emotional chaos often comes from too many attachments, too many expectations, too many people pulling your energy, too many obligations, too much overstimulation. A simple life removes these emotional drains. When you choose simplicity, you choose peace over pressure, clarity over confusion, depth over superficiality, purpose over noise. You begin to feel grounded, centered, uncluttered inside. And this is how a warrior maintains emotional stability. Even in chaotic circumstances, time is the foundation of mastery, and simplicity protects it. When your life is cluttered with meaningless activities, trivial conversations, constant scrolling, unnecessary obligations, your time gets stolen. But a warrior's time is sacred. He cuts away what doesn't matter, so he can invest his time into what builds him: strength, discipline, learning, mastery, purpose, spiritual growth. A simple life gives you back hours you didn't even realize you were losing, and those hours become the building blocks of greatness. There's a psychological rule: the fewer decisions you make, the stronger your willpower becomes. Every small choice drains mental energy. That's why warriors simplify their routines, their clothes, their meals, their environments, their daily structure. This is not boring, it's strategic. When the basics of your life are simple, you free your mind for the real battles: discipline, creativity, purpose, inner strength, mastery. Simplicity enhances decision-making power. And decision-making power is one of the strongest forms of leadership. Every possession you cling to becomes something that can control your peace. But when you lighten your material burdens, a spiritual shift occurs. You stop being owned by what you own. You stop feeling anxious about losing things. You stop competing with others. You stop measuring yourself through material markers. You stop needing more to feel enough. Simplicity dismantles the ego's hunger and replaces it with inner fulfillment. This is why spiritual warriors throughout history lived with less. Not because they were poor, but because simplicity frees the soul. When your life is cluttered, your values get blurred. But when you simplify, your true priorities rise to the surface: discipline, health, clarity, purpose, mastery, spiritual connection, meaningful relationships. Simplicity strips away the illusions so you can see your life with honesty. This is where direction comes from, not from adding more, but from removing the unnecessary. The more simple your life becomes, the more powerful you feel inside. Why? Because simplicity quiets your mind, cleans your emotions, strengthens your discipline, clarifies your purpose, increases your presence, heightens your intuition, sharpens your decision-making. You become harder to distract, harder to manipulate, harder to shake. You begin to feel a different kind of strength, a grounded, steady inner force that comes from living intentionally. This is the strength of a warrior who is no longer scattered, but centered. When your life becomes simple, renunciation stops feeling like sacrifice and starts feeling natural. You no longer crave excess, noise, overstimulation, unnecessary possessions, meaningless connections. Your spirit becomes used to purity. Your mind becomes used to clarity. Your body becomes used to discipline. Your emotions become used to peace. This is the warrior's way, a life aligned with purpose, not cluttered with chaos. The vow of simplicity is a vow of power. When you choose simplicity, you choose strength over weakness, clarity over confusion, purpose over distraction, mastery over mediocrity, spirit over ego. Simplicity is not a reduction, it is an elevation. It is the purification of your life so your inner greatness can finally breathe. It turns your path clear. It turns your mind sharp. It turns your spirit powerful. This is how warriors rise, not by adding more, but by removing what does not serve them. There comes a moment on the warrior's path when you stop asking, "What do I lose by letting go?" And you start asking, "What do I gain by becoming unstoppable?" Because renunciation is not about living less. It's about unlocking more power, more clarity, more discipline, more spiritual voltage running through your veins. This is where the inner fire begins to rise. And whether you realize it or not, this inner fire has been inside you all along, buried under your impulses, hidden beneath your cravings, drowned by the noise of a world that keeps begging you to consume, react, and obey. But when you renounce distraction, comfort, pleasure, and addiction, when you pull yourself away from what drains you, when you say a no to weakness, something ancient wakes up inside you. It is the fire your ancestors carried. The fire that built empires. The fire that forged men into leaders. The fire that made warriors impossible to break. And now, that fire begins to grow inside you. Because every time you choose restraint over reaction, Every time you hold your energy instead of wasting it. Every time you say, "I will rise above this," instead of collapsing into temptation. You prove something powerful to yourself. You are the master, not the slave. Renunciation rewires your mind. It tightens your focus. It strengthens your will. It sharpens your intuition. Suddenly, things that used to control you, fear, lust, anger, impulse, begin to lose their power. You no longer act because of weakness. You act because of principle. Because of purpose. Because you are becoming the kind of man who cannot be moved by small things. And that is when the inner fire builds. You've been told that fire is anger. That fire is violence. That fire is chaos. But the warrior's fire is none of these. The warrior's fire is alignment, your mind, your body, your discipline, and your spirit all locking into a single direction. When you renounce the unnecessary, you remove friction from your life. Your energy no longer leaks. Your attention no longer scatters. Your emotional storms no longer throw you off balance. Your fire becomes steady, controlled, focused, like a laser cutting through metal. This fire gives you the strength to endure discomfort, to resist temptation, to follow through on what you said you would do, to live out your purpose without hesitation. The more you renounce, the more this fire intensifies. Because fire grows inside empty space. And renunciation creates that empty space. Here's what you don't notice at first: by renouncing distractions, you begin to think differently. Your mind becomes quieter, more confident, more intentional. Suddenly, your old desires feel small. Your old habits feel meaningless. Your old excuses feel embarrassing. You start seeing the world with sharper eyes. You speak with more weight. You walk with a presence people can feel before they even hear your voice. Your mind stops being a battlefield. It becomes a command center. And this shift is not subtle, it is life-changing. When you renounce what drains you, your body begins to store power. Real power. You notice, your energy doesn't crash as easily. You feel more driven and alive. Your presence becomes magnetic. Your aura becomes stronger. Your instincts become sharper. Your creativity keeps rising. Your spiritual awareness deepens. All because your energy is not leaking through addiction, distraction, or emotional chaos. You become a vessel that can contain power. And the more power you contain, the more you radiate. This is why monks glow. This is why disciplined men feel charismatic. This is why spiritual warriors walk with a calm intensity. Renunciation increases the voltage of your spirit. Here's the ultimate truth: renunciation is not about saying no to life. It's about saying yes to the life you were always meant to live. A life without wasted potential. A life without self-sabotage. A life without guilt, confusion, or internal conflict. A life where your destiny becomes clearer every day. When the fire rises, your direction becomes undeniable. You know what to do. You know where to go. You know who you must become. Renunciation makes your future visible, because the inner fire burns away every illusion that kept you lost. And once you see your path, you cannot unsee it. The ultimate purpose of renunciation is not purity. It's not morality. It's not perfection. It is strength. Inner strength. Emotional strength. Spiritual strength. The kind of strength that cannot be stolen by failure, heartbreak, stress, or temptation. The kind of strength that allows you to stand firm in a world that is constantly trying to break you. And it all begins with the vow: I am no longer controlled by anything outside me. From that moment, your fire awakens. At this point in your journey, something inside you has already shifted. You're not walking like the man you were months ago. Your eyes see deeper. Your decisions cut sharper. Your energy feels heavier, not in weight, but in presence. Renunciation has carved out a new version of you, one built from discipline instead of impulse, intention instead of chaos. But now comes the real test: can you live this way? Every day. Consistently? Unshaken? Because becoming a warrior is not a moment, it's a lifestyle. It is a path that demands your honesty, your courage, and your willingness to rise above the noise of a world trying to distract you from your destiny. And now, you stand at the entrance of that path. There are two kinds of men. 1. Men who are pushed by life. 2. Men who pull life toward them. Most people wake up reacting to problems, reacting to emotions, reacting to whatever the world throws at them. But the warrior moves by purpose. Every action is an extension of something deeper, a mission, a calling, a vow he has made with himself. You begin each morning not with confusion, but with conviction. This is who I am becoming. This is what I must do today. Purpose gives you direction. Direction gives you momentum. Momentum builds destiny. This is the first pillar of the warrior's path. You begin to realize something powerful. Your energy is your most valuable asset. Where your energy goes, your life goes. And the warrior understands that energy is not just physical, it is mental, emotional, spiritual, and sexual. So you become selective. You stop giving your time to people who drain you. You stop giving your focus to ideas that weaken you. You stop giving your emotions to situations that distract you. And you stop giving your sexual energy to empty fantasies or meaningless indulgence. You understand, anything that steals your energy steals your destiny. And the warrior guards his destiny fiercely. In a world where everyone is loud, reactive, overstimulated, and restless, the warrior is still. Not dead inside. Not passive. Not emotionless. Still. Calm. Focused. Rooted. Your stillness becomes a sign of strength. People sense it. Opportunities respond to it. Your intuition sharpens through it. Your self-control deepens within it. Stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is mastery. And the warrior carries it like a spiritual signature. Unlike the ordinary man, the warrior doesn't see pain as punishment. He sees pain as direction. Pain teaches him where he is weak, where he needs growth, where his truth is buried, where his fear is hiding, where his potential is waiting. The warrior embraces pain with open hands because he knows, what the weak avoid, the strong ascend through. Your heartbreak, your struggle, your loneliness, your failure, these become the stones beneath your feet, lifting you higher. Pain becomes your teacher, not your enemy. And this changes everything. There is a moment in every warrior's life when he realizes, the real battle is not outside. It is inside. The battle to remain honest. The battle to remain disciplined. The battle to remain aligned with your purpose even when no one would know if you failed. Honor is the foundation of true strength. Because when your actions match your spirit, when your behavior matches your values, when your decisions match your destiny, you become powerful from the inside out. The warrior's honor is not for show. It is a private vow, a sacred agreement with himself. I will not betray the man I am becoming. Understand this clearly, the warrior's path is not comfortable. It is not simple. It is not convenient. But it is meaningful, transformational, liberating. The warrior's life is not easy, it is worthy. And when you live a worthy life, you stop craving cheap pleasures. You stop seeking validation. You stop drowning in regret. You begin to feel proud of who you are, not because the world praises you, but because you know you are living your truth. This is the ultimate reward of the warrior's path. You become a man you respect. A man you trust. A man you can look in the mirror and say, you are living with purpose. Keep going. Many start the journey. Few finish. You must remind yourself, the warrior's path is not a season. Not a temporary burst of discipline. Not a phase of motivation. It is a lifestyle. A commitment. A vow. A vow to rise. A vow to resist weakness. A vow to serve your higher self. A vow to walk toward your destiny, even when it's difficult, even when it's lonely, even when the world tells you to give up. Because the warrior is not driven by the world. The warrior is driven by his spirit. And your spirit is calling you forward. Every warrior reaches a moment on the path where they look back and realize something shocking. You are no longer the person who began this journey. Your eyes see differently. Your mind reacts differently. Your spirit feels heavier, sharper, more awake. Your energy vibrates with a clarity you never knew was possible. Renunciation didn't just discipline you. It transformed you. It carved out a new identity from the inside, not by adding more, but by removing everything that kept you small, distracted, confused, or weak. This is the phase where transformation stops being an idea and becomes an undeniable reality. And here's what truly happens when you fully commit to the warrior's vow. There was a time when people's opinions could shake you. When small problems bothered you. When emotions tossed you around. When stress controlled your decisions. But now, there is a stillness inside you, a calm that sits deeper than thought, deeper than fear, deeper than noise. This peace doesn't depend on circumstances. It comes from mastery. From knowing, I am in control. I am not easily moved. I remain centered even in chaos. And this inner peace is not passive. It's powerful. It becomes your anchor. Most men fold under pressure. They break under stress. They collapse when life becomes difficult. But not you. Your spirit has been tempered through renunciation, like steel forged in fire. Your mind is tougher. Your heart is stronger. Your will is unshakable. You don't run from challenges anymore. You absorb them. You grow through them. You turn them into fuel. This resilience is not loud. It's not dramatic. It's silent. It's stoic. It's deadly. And people will notice it before you even speak. When you remove what weakens you, habits, addictions, cravings, cheap pleasures, emotional instability, your energy consolidates. It gathers. It concentrates. It intensifies. People start feeling something different about you. You walk with purpose. You speak with weight. You carry a calm dominance. You attract respect effortlessly. Your presence feels grounded and real. You don't need validation, and that makes you more powerful. This magnetism is not something you try to create. It is something you become. It is the natural vibration of someone who lives with inner alignment, discipline, and sacred power. At the beginning of the journey, you were divided. Your desires contradicted your goals. Your impulses fought your discipline. Your emotions argued with your logic. But now, you're unified. There is no internal war. No guilt. No self-conflict. You trust yourself. You respect yourself. You follow through on your promises. You stop sabotaging your own progress. This self-alignment becomes the foundation of every achievement, every success, every breakthrough. Because a man who is united within himself cannot be defeated from outside. Something unexpected happens during renunciation. Your mind becomes quieter, and your intuition becomes louder. You start sensing things before they happen. You start reading people more clearly. You begin making decisions with a confidence that feels guided, almost spiritual. You feel connected to something deeper, a higher wisdom, a higher intelligence, a higher version of you. This is not imagination. This is clarity born from a purified mind. When noise disappears, truth becomes audible. With discipline, stillness, and a focused spirit, your path becomes clearer. You know what you must pursue. You know what you must avoid. You know who you must become. You know the life you're being shaped for. Renunciation reveals your destiny by removing everything that hides it. And for the first time, the future stops feeling like a fog. It becomes a straight line. A line illuminated by your commitment, your discipline, and your inner fire. This is the ultimate transformation. The warrior's vow elevates you beyond your biological impulses, your emotional reactions, your old identity. You begin living from a higher place, with purpose instead of panic, with clarity instead of confusion, with strength instead of weakness, with spirit instead of ego. You become a guardian of your own destiny, a protector of your own purpose, a living embodiment of discipline, intention, and spiritual fire. This is what it means to step into your higher self. You become the man your past self prayed to become. Transformation is not the end. It is the beginning. Because once you rise into your higher self, you see the world differently. You see new challenges waiting, new levels calling, new battles demanding your courage. But the difference now is simple. You're ready, prepared, armed, awake, aligned, unshakable. You no longer fear the journey. You belong to it. You've become the warrior you sought to become. And now you walk the path not as a student, but as a leader. And now, you stand at the edge of a new life. Not a life handed to you by circumstance, but a life forged through discipline, carved through sacrifice, awakened through renunciation. Remember this, a warrior is not born. A warrior is created, choice by choice, day by day, vow by vow. And if you've listened this far, then something inside you is already rising. A voice. A fire. A calling. So honor that calling. Walk your path with clarity. Guard your energy with discipline. Hold your vow with devotion. And let the world witness the man you become, not through words, but through presence, purpose, and power. Your transformation is not in the future. It begins the moment you decide to rise. If this message awakens something in you, if you felt your spirit tighten, if you felt the fire inside deepen, then don't walk this journey alone. Subscribe, join the Brotherhood of Warriors Rising. Leave a comment, claim your vow. and share this video with someone who's ready to step into their higher self. We release videos like this every Tuesday and Friday to sharpen your mind, strengthen your discipline, and awaken the warrior within. Until then, stand tall, stay focused, protect your energy, honor your vow, and never forget, the world bows to the man who conquers himself.